Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another episode of the Best Self Weekly Podcast. I'm joined with a very special guest here, Romina. Romina, what's going on?
Hey, nothing much, just enjoying my time so far this lovely Saturday and, just here to answer some questions that Hunter has for me.
Yes, well, Romina, thank you so much for hopping on. I got tons of questions. And if you don't know anything about Romina, Romina is a dietitian and she's working towards her master's at UNLV. And she just knows a ton about nutrition and health. And I'm really excited to, pick your brain about these things. I truly feel like to be the best version of yourself, you have to include health and nutrition and like treat our bodies like pretty much like they're like temples, like, what we eat is, so important. So I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, Romina, what out of all like the different types of industries, what got you interested in health and nutrition?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, my high school actually offered like culinary and cooking classes. So I ended up taking those as an elective, and I really liked the cooking aspect and the nutrition aspect. So when I was kind of debating what area to go into for a future career, I kind of was bouncing both ideas. And then eventually, I had a lot of family that ended up having some chronic illnesses that just with changing their eating habits and just becoming more health conscious with their dietary habits, they completely changed their chronic illnesses and reversed them. So just seeing that impact really, pushed me towards choosing nutrition as a field. And I have loved it ever since I decided to choose this field, and I still love it to this day. So I mean, that's good.
Wow, that
Yeah.
it's so powerful that, we can reverse chronic illnesses from changing our eating habits and, what we put into our bodies. And what I guess, what's the secret? Like you said, you had some family members reverse their illnesses. Um, was there a certain philosophy to eat by? I know, is it kind of maybe depending on the chronic illness and exactly what it is, but when you say they reversed it, were they eating meat? Were they eating vegetables? Was it a healthy mixed diet? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, it depended on the chronic illness because all chronic illnesses are a little bit different in kind of what they require. So, the one individual that I can speak of is just my dad. He had diabetes and he still has it. So, diabetes is an illness that you can never get rid of, but you can be in a position where you're almost in like full or partial remission, where it's you still have it, but you're just in a position where you're managing it really well as if you didn't have this chronic illness. So, kind of what he changed was he used to eat a lot more of like processed foods and foods high in sugar and salt. And I think everything is a little bit of a balance. My father was definitely not watching what he was eating. And so when he did get diagnosed, he completely changed how he was eating. He focused more on whole foods and lean proteins, healthy fats, and just trying to have a good balance of everything. So his plate would obviously look with, it would have proteins and veggies, and he'd have his fruits and whole grains. And so that definitely helped him to bring down his A1C to eventually be in that like almost uh, fully remission state. But he still has it, and he still manages it to this day. I think he's been a diabetic for about 10 years now, so he's really great. And with diabetes, there's a lot of other symptoms and side effects that could happen, like chronic kidney disease, neuropathy, heart failure. So when you start to manage chronic illnesses in a really well way with dietary habits and lifestyle changes, you can really help to prevent all these other complications that could arise. So he hasn't had any complications with his diabetes because of just the changes that he's made.
Wow, that's impressive. How long what'd you say 10 years about? He's had it for 10 years or
Yeah, about 10 years now.
okay. Did he just recently kind of like really lock in with his diet and stuff he was eating? Or was it as
Mhm.
soon as he was okay?
Yeah, he did. He basically like once he got diagnosed, he completely changed his diet. I know there was a lot of like health specialists that kind of were a part of my dad's team to help him with managing his diabetes. But we especially had this chiropractor. He focuses a lot on on health and nutrition that just helped to kind of guide my dad and give him some advice with kind of what are some changes that he can make to help manage his chronic illness. So that helped him a lot too. And now that he has a daughter that's a dietitian, obviously he's asking me questions all the time. But yeah, it's just he went full swing. He changed his diet just to, incorporate more of those whole foods and lean proteins, healthy fats, low sugars. And to this day, like he has a great balance of everything, especially when we're having our meals. He's really good at like watching his portions if he is eating something that is high in sugar. Let's say we have family that's over and we have cake. He's really careful with, measuring out his little piece of cake because he believes balance is everything, and so do I. Where it's like you could have, a really healthful diet and including some of those fun foods here and there on those special occasions. Hmm.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's so cool. It's cool you mentioned your father because my father, he about a year ago, he totally transformed his health. Like he never really would eat anything like during the day, uh,
Hmm.
and then would come home and like eat a salad. But then at night, he would eat a bunch of sugar, and he kind of did that his whole life. And he's been pretty fit. He's a physical therapist and has like run a bunch of marathons. And
Yeah.
um, but a year ago, our family has really high cholesterol, and I don't know if that was the reason why he switched things up, but
Hmm.
anyway, he went to the carnivore diet. And I know the carnivore diet maybe isn't the best for everyone, or maybe it's good, but it just helped him like really put him on track. And like you said, the carnivore diet is mainly eating, if I'm not wrong, just like a lot of meats, dairy, and like that type of stuff. So it was low sugar, high fats, because he added avocado in it as well, and high in protein. And he dropped like so much weight and he got super fit. But that's kind of what my father, like I said, like a year ago, really made that transformation. It's kind of cool to just see people when they're a little bit older, like make that tweak in their health journey. Like it's never too late to start, was like my takeaway from things.
100%. It's never too late. I mean, I work in an outpatient facility, so I have people of all ages coming in for, for different conditions and different reasons, but we get a lot of people that are middle-aged, older age individuals that come in with these chronic illnesses or just for healthy eating. And, they start to make these changes to their overall health. And I always ask them, like, when I follow up with them, like, how do you feel? And they're like, I feel great. I'm not in as much pain as I used to be. I feel great. Or they're saying like my clothes fit better. Like my pants that I was trying to fit in, they're fitting now. They also say like their lab work is coming back great and that they feel with like more energy. And that's what I tell people. I mean, a lot of people get really focused on that nutrition equals like what's on the scale, which it's not. It's how you feel, how your clothes are fitting, your energy levels, your blood work. Like that's an indicator of your overall health and just how you're doing overall with kind of the changes that you're making because that's going to be the biggest indicator. And as you can tell with your dad, he's lost weight. He feels great. And obviously, every person has a different approach to nutrition. And obviously, there isn't one specific diet that one person should be on because everyone is different, whatever diet it is. And that's kind of what we do as dietitians is kind of we have a baseline with everyone and we know kind of the science behind everything. And we try different kind of interventions with each individual depending on their chronic illness and their goals as well. And then we kind of go on a specific, not diet specifically, but we make specific dietary interventions that are meant to help with that chronic illness or overall their health goals. And as you mentioned, like, carnivore diet might be something that's for someone who is trying to maybe lose weight more quickly, but in comparison, someone that is diabetic might want to focus more on high fiber to help with better managing their diabetes. So everyone's a little bit different, and that's why I think nutrition is such a fun field where it's not just like such a cookie cutter. It's like there's so many different pathways for everyone.
Yeah, there is. There's so many different pathways. There really is. And I just wanted to ask you, like, as a dietitian, so I'm getting this right, in order to really properly put someone and suggest for someone to be on a specific diet, right, you have to probably sit down with them and learn about them and learn about their goals, learn about their, like, I don't know, their family history. And you also kind of have to see their blood work, right? And look through their blood work and see everything. And then
Yes.
from there you go. So
Yes, absolutely.
okay, could you give me like an example if you don't mind me asking? If is there a common blood work issue or problem that you see? Like, I know there's a huge lack of vitamin D. If someone was really low in vitamin D or low in a certain vitamin, kind of how you would approach that.
Yeah, so whenever we see a patient, obviously it depends on the setting. Because I work in outpatient, you're able to get more time with individuals and kind of look at their blood work, look at their family history and their overall goals. So when you're looking at their blood work, the things that we specifically look at is more cholesterol levels, A1C, fasting glucose. We look at some liver enzymes and kidney readings as well, and then some of the vitamins and minerals. It just depends on kind of what kind of testing that they do. Usually the basic metabolic testing usually will only really test for vitamin D, but it's good because a lot of people are vitamin D deficient.
Right.
So, like for instance, I had a patient the other day who was coming in. They're coming in for pre-diabetes, and I noticed that their fasting glucose was high, A1C was in that range of pre-diabetes, and then their vitamin D was also low. And they were talking to me how they always felt so tired, and they were getting sick, and they were like, "I just don't know what I'm doing." And they worked in the casino, so they worked pretty late hours, so they knew it was kind of related to that too as well. But they were sleeping kind of the 8 to 9 hours that was recommended. But they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what's going on. And so when I was reading their vitamin D levels, I saw that it was 14, so it was very deficient. And I was like, well, once you start supplementing with vitamin D or eating vitamin D rich foods, it's going to help with your energy levels and also your immune system. Because when we're deficient in those items, like the vitamin D, it's going to really impair all these different metabolic functions that our body requires that vitamin D for. So he started supplementing, and I haven't seen him just yet, but I'm going to follow up with him and hopefully see changes with how he feels. But I used to be deficient in vitamin D. I think everyone in the United States is pretty deficient because a lot of us don't go outside for long periods of time. So I remember when I was deficient, I had low energy levels. My immune system was good, but that's because I try to stay up with everything with eating all my vitamins and minerals and foods. But I
Mhm.
noticed that my energy levels changed drastically once I started supplementing with vitamin D and going outside more often. So that definitely helped a lot. And, so just you can see people don't even realize that just changing their dietary habits or supplementing with things that they're deficient in can really help a lot with
Right.
even little things in your life.
Right. And for vitamin D, if anyone is listening and they're having a hard time taking
Hmm.
vitamin D for whatever reason, a little trick that I do is I eat gummies. Like when the vitamins are gummies for me, going back to when I was a
Yeah.
kid, the gummies taste good. They got like 1 gram of sugar. It kind of tastes a little sweet,
Mhm.
and it makes me feel like I'm eating like Scooby-Doo fruit snacks. It makes it a little bit more fun to eat. So
Absolutely.
so I do take a vitamin D supplement for sure. And
Yes.
that's very interesting. I wanted to ask you, so
Mhm.
if a patient comes in, right, the same example, and they're really low in vitamin D or whatever, and they show you the blood work, would you say that how long do they need to get their blood work done again? Is it like 3 months? So it's like, okay, take vitamin D for 3 months, eat like this. Is it like 3 to 6 months? Is it longer for them to like really make a change?
hmm So for vitamin D, we unfortunately in our field we cannot order blood work. Not
Mm,
yet. Hopefully that's something down in the future that we could do. So usually we'll get the blood work from the doctor. So every doctor is a little bit different. We have some really proactive doctors where if they're low in vitamin D, they'll have them do like 3 months from now do another blood panel to see if everything is okay. Other doctors it's like 6 months, and others it's a yearly basis. I think it just depends on the severity of your vitamin D. I think if you're because anything below 30 is a deficiency in vitamin D. So I think the closer you are to zero, the closer you probably are to having more blood work done a lot sooner than other people. So it just depends on kind of what the doctor says. If it was up to me, I would probably do 3 months just to kind of see some differences because even just making little changes to your diet, you can see changes already by the 3 month mark.
yeah, yeah. So in your life, when you started taking more of vitamin D, probably
Mhm.
through the food and the supplement, you said you felt more energetic, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was sleeping really well. I was getting my 8 hours. I try to prioritize that. And I was like, why am I so tired? I was like, this doesn't make sense. And then I got my blood panel done and I was like, oh, deficiency, that makes sense. And then I started supplementing and eating vitamin D rich foods. And again, I'm a whole different person. I feel so much more alive than when I was deficient.
Wow, that big of a difference just from the vitamin D?
Yes, yeah, I was like so tired. I mean, I'm a student, so obviously it makes sense why I'm always so tired, but I was like so tired even though I was sleeping really well. And I was like, why am I waking up just so exhausted? I would be yawning all the time and like my eyes would be just like tired. And then when I started supplementing, I like would wake up even if I slept, there's some couple of days I would sleep only like maybe 4 or 5 hours because of just school and work sometimes. It just kind of happens on those days. I would still wake up energized because I know my deficiency was no longer there. I was okay with my vitamin D and I was like, see, this is awesome. Like if I had slept like 8, 9 hours, I would have felt so tired, but that was because of my deficiency. And now I can sleep a little bit less on some days, but because I'm good on my vitamin D, I feel energized. I have not felt tired since then. So
Wow. Okay. That's a life changing. Like what you're saying,
yes.
I can make the difference between a bad life and a phenomenal life. Like if when you feel tired,
Yes.
it sucks. Like I've felt it. I went through a phase where I got overweight and I was so addicted to sugar and fast food and it just sucks. Like it sucks to feel like that, you know? And it's just so cool to hear you say simply because of a deficiency in a vitamin D that's very important. Like you were able to make the switch. Like, of course, you put the work in and you earned it, but that's so cool. Like that excites me, you know?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
I mean, not to just like totally focus everything on vitamin D, but um, from what I know,
Mhm.
obviously sunlight is huge.
Mhm.
Did you start getting more sunlight or no?
Yes, I started doing that too. But the thing is, everyone's a little bit different. So some skin colors might not absorb as much vitamin D compared to others. So that's why going out in the sun is great if you can. And obviously that's going to help with maybe some absorption of vitamin D, just depending on your skin color. But that's why supplementing, as you said, with the gummies or with like a supplement and eating vitamin D rich foods helps a ton to make
That's
sure that you're all good. And it's something that like people think that you have to like once you take the supplement and once it's gone, you're fine. But it's not. It's one of those supplements that you'll need to still keep supplementing with through food, through the sunlight, just to make sure you're good because it is a fat soluble, so that just means it's stored as fat in the body. So it does last for a couple of days in the body, but again, you need to replenish that. You can't just rely that, oh, like I'm fine, everything's fine. Like once you stop, you probably will go back down to having low vitamin D levels.
wow, wow. And then last thing about vitamin D,
Mhm.
walking us through your journey. So you saw you're deficient in it, and
Mhm.
then you started, what did you do? You started taking a vitamin D supplement, and then you started eating like what specific foods? Was it like salmon? Was it eggs? Because I think those are good in vitamin D, right?
Yes. So salmon, eggs, like especially like the egg yolk, it's rich in vitamin D.
Mhm.
So I would also supplement with like canned sardines and tuna, but ensuring that there is like the bones in those fish because the bones are rich in calcium and also in vitamin D. So I would make sure like I was eating a lot more of these foods. And also dairy products are fortified with vitamin D. So I was also eating these foods. Mushrooms are a great source of vitamin D too. So I
Right.
would try to eat more mushrooms. I actually wasn't a big fan of mushrooms growing up, but as you get older, your palate changes. So my palate is a lot different now. So I actually do like mushrooms now. So
I started eating mushrooms probably three months ago, 4 months ago, you know, a couple of times during the
yes.
because I found out they were rich in vitamin D. And at first, I never would have thought I would eaten, you know, mushrooms. But yeah, like you said, your palate can change. I like to just like, I don't know,
Mhm.
put them on the stove and put a pan over it or like a little lid, and then it
Mhm.
makes them like super moist and just put some butter in there, and they're pretty
Yeah.
good. I'm not
Yeah.
portobello mushrooms are good, right?
Yes, they are great. Yes. For my mushrooms, I like mushrooms, but not on their own still. I'll mix them with other foods or I'll like kind of manipulate them so they're not just solely on their own. Like I've made mushroom soup before, where you just kind of blenderize the mushrooms. I've also made instead of using like meat for tacos, I've done mushrooms. and it kind of made them almost like as if they were meat because you can like brown them up really well where they look like ground meat, but they're not. So, and of course, I mix them in with like my eggs in the morning. So that's kind of what I do to like increase just my mushroom intake because obviously, of course, people think that when you're eating, fruits or veggies, especially people get like so tired, they're like, "Oh, I'm so tired of eating this fruit or veggie." But it's like you can manipulate it in so many different ways to make it different and make it more appealing to you with any kind of food, honestly.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't like to eat mushrooms by themselves. It has to be
With something else, yeah.
yeah, but I have to completely change my diet. I'm in the process. 2 weeks ago, I got my blood work, and I didn't realize how high my cholesterol was. So I'm like totally switching everything up. It got pretty high pretty quick. But I was born with it, but I was eating a lot of meat. So I'm going through that, like what you said, being
Mhm.
creative, fun, like being creative, like, oh, like mushrooms, how can I don't know, like cut them up and use them for meat one night instead of ground beef because eating that all the time with my cholesterol probably isn't the best thing.
Yeah, and it's so funny to see just how like family history plays a really big role with our blood panel because I have had patients like yourself and you just reminded me of them how it's like you have a family history of high cholesterol even though you might be eating really healthful but because of that family history you just are at an increased risk of having high cholesterol. So someone could be eating the same way that you are, have no issues, but then in your case for you, you have that family history, so you're just more prone to having that high cholesterol. So it's just interesting to see how that family history really plays a role.
Right, yeah, because to some people, like what I was doing was um steak, a lot of ground beef, like with rice, with the side of green beans or broccoli every single day, a couple times, and then eggs for breakfast with the side of mushrooms or side of like, I don't know, something. And I told the doctor that, and like it's very healthy to some people, but because I have that in my family thing of the high cholesterol, like
Yeah,
that is not good for me at all, but to some people it could be. So you're right.
yeah.
Like
Hmm.
family, crazy, those genes play a huge part. Uh,
Absolutely.
that's why it's so important, I feel like, to meet with dietitians and doctors and really get your blood work done to make sure. Like, I don't know, I just had a feeling I had to do it. And of course, the cholesterol was like through the roof, like 300s. I was like, are you kidding me? Bro, that's crazy. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
done that. I'd have been
I,
screwed.
yeah, that's why I really do like emphasize people like go see your doctor at least once a year to get your annual blood work done because you never know if you're high in something. And there are certain things that you don't feel any symptoms for. Like in your case, I don't think you felt any symptoms of having like high cholesterol
Um,
or people that are running with super high blood pressure or super high like A1Cs where they're pre-diabetic or diabetic. Sometimes you just have no symptoms at all. And that's why I tell people like symptoms or not if you're sick or not, still get your annual blood work done just to double check that you're okay with everything because if you have it for a long time, you're eventually going to get other complications that are associated with these elevated blood panels. Like if you have a high A1C, eventually you might, instead of being pre-diabetic, you might become diabetic. And if you can prevent that from happening, obviously let's prevent that from happening. In your case with high cholesterol, it's like you're showing signs of the high cholesterol, but let's prevent you from getting like heart disease or, clogged arteries because we're in that prevention state right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also wanted to go off of what you said about the vitamin D really improving your energy levels
Mhm.
and other benefits. So my wife and I, we started taking the same type of fish oil. She did a bunch of research and it's been a minute since we've like haven't have had them in our system, and she said that she feels like her mood is a lot more balanced and she feels more energetic, and I can say the same thing. So I wanted to ask you, how important are omega-3s and fish oils in
Mhm.
like your health for mental and physical?
Yeah, absolutely. Omega-3s are really great. They are heart healthy, so they're going to help keep your heart really nice and healthy. They also are going to be great because if you're getting them through fish or fish oils, apart from just getting the omegas, you're also getting like protein if you're eating the fish, and you're getting like vitamin D as well. So you are getting other foods. I'm always in the position where it's like if you can eat it through food first, let's do that. Not that supplementation is a bad thing. I think there are individuals that do require supplementation, especially if you're deficient. But I think if you're getting it through food first, you're getting so many other benefits as well.
I agree.
Compared to when you're just taking the omegas, you're just getting the omegas in there, which is not a bad thing, but you're not getting the protein, you're not getting the vitamin D, the calcium from, the fish that you're consuming. But yeah, it does really play a big role with also your immune system. So if you are, supplementing with omegas or taking them through foods, you're going to be helping your immune system. And then also, when you're taking more of the omegas, you're helping to produce more of that healthy cholesterol in your body. And so, with more healthy cholesterol, it can actually help to decrease that bad cholesterol that you have in the body. That's why a lot of doctors do recommend omega supplementation to their patients if they aren't eating fish, if they have high cholesterol levels, and that's going to help to bring down those levels. Mhm.
Wow, that's so interesting. And then let's see. Also, okay, so for like omega-3s or whatever, salmon's really good, right? And avocados and walnuts, like those types of foods.
Yeah. So like salmon, so anything that's like a fattier fish, so like salmon and tuna. Avocados are great, nuts and seeds, and of course our oils like avocado oil or olive oil. Those are going to be great because they're going to have the omegas that we can get through these foods. Yes. And then also olives as well. I don't know if you're a big fan of olives, but they
I think
also
we
have
talked
some.
about that on the first call. You like olives, right?
I don't like olives, no.
Okay, I don't like olives. I don't like olives,
I
but
think they're an acquired taste. I feel like as you get older, you might start to like them. Again, your palate starts to change because I feel like a lot of people who eat them are older individuals. So it's definitely an acquired taste.
I don't want to try that now that you say it. I kind of want to get a thing of olives and like I don't know, I just want to try them. It's been so long since I've tried them.
Yeah, I think I mean a lot of people add olives to like to salads, so maybe you can try it to like some sort of veggies and salad and see if you like it that way. I've also seen some people with the olives still like stuff the olives with like some sort of stuffing. I don't know how good that would be. But I don't know, people get creative when it comes to using olives. For me, again, I'm not an olive person, so I have no recipes to to give or recommend because I don't use olives. I'm not a big fan.
Right. But what are the benefits again of the olives? As you said, was it a healthy
It's
fat or
it's a
what?
healthy fat. It's part of the healthy fat family. Hmm.
Okay. Maybe I'll try them. You inspired me. I think it would just be in a salad or something for sure.
Yeah, like a Greek salad. I think you can find them in Greek salads or like Mediterranean salads.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of, I guess, salads and vegetables, I wanted to
Mhm.
ask you, are there any foods that are like superfoods for the brain, like things that really promote cognitive function or memory or focus that you're aware of? I just know whenever I eat kale, specifically kale and walnuts, for some reason I feel like my brain is just like
Mhm.
its ability really increases after I eat.
Yeah. Yeah, so those foods are great. Also the berry family is great. All berries, so blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, because they're super high in antioxidants. So they're going to be really great. There's a lot of research out there that people that have Alzheimer's or dementia or at risk for these conditions, they will start supplementing them with berries to see if that will help with their cognitive health. And there's been improvements with this family, with the berries family. So I think kale walnuts are definitely great. They're going to help with giving you energy to your brain and keeping your cognitive health really healthy. But incorporating berries, that's really great. I always try to have at least like a serving of berries each day to help, especially because in my family there is that history of dementia. So obviously I'm like not trying to get that condition. So if I can supplement with some berries to help with that, I definitely am doing that.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
I like blueberries. I love blueberries. Like a handful a day and some, I don't know, Greek yogurt or whatever,
Yes,
or
that
cottage.
is great. I do that too. The Greek yogurt with the berries and the walnuts. I also add chia seeds. Chia seeds are also high in omegas as well. And then I will add a little bit of stevia to sweeten my Greek yogurt, and then that's how I have my Greek yogurt in the mornings or as a late night snack. So it's great.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
good as exactly like it's good as a late night snack or just like a quick breakfast if you don't have that much time for me.
Yes, I'll like meal prep it because it's super easy and quick. And with meal prepping, I feel like I'm a big person where I don't like when my food gets soggy. And sometimes there's certain like breakfast dishes that like if you do make them, they'll get a little weird or soggy. But Greek yogurt is great. It doesn't get soggy and you can have it in the fridge for a couple of days and it's still great. And then,
You're talking
it's
with
awesome.
berries, right? Like if you meal prep berries with the Greek yogurt.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I made the mistake of meal prepping Greek yogurt with granola and berries,
Hmm.
and I didn't realize that the granola would get soggy. I didn't think about that. So after a couple of days, I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to eat this because it's so soggy. But the blueberries stayed fine, but it was
Yeah. You'll just have to like put the granola like on your counter so that way in the mornings when you like grab it, you could just pour in the granola so it's nice and crunchy and not soggy.
yeah. I guess
Yeah.
if you put oatmeal in it, that would kind of turn to overnight oats. I don't know how it would be if it was in there for a couple of days though. Wouldn't it get like
Yeah, so I've done overnight oats before, meal prep them, and they're actually great because they do become like that mushy, soggy. So that's kind of how the whole container would be. So it's not like, like if you make like a breakfast sandwich, like the bread would become soggy and everything else is fine. So like I try to not meal prep breakfast sandwiches. I'll just make those immediately and eat them. But for overnight oats, those are great because if you're okay with that kind of mushy consistency, then you can add the granola and the granola will still have that same consistency as the oatmeal. So for my overnight oats, I kind of do it pretty similar. I'll either do milk or I'll do like oats milk. It just depends on kind of what my preference is. And then I'll add the granola, the chia seeds, the blueberries. I also sometimes add protein powder as well if I'm trying to increase my protein as well. Because sometimes I'll have the overnight oats and I'll have like some side of eggs. But if I'm not really feeling eggs that morning, I'll add that protein powder at nighttime. So now it's like a higher protein Greek yogurt, or you can add yogurt as well. So if you add yogurt, it does give it a little bit of a thicker consistency. So it just depends on like if your consistency and textures affect you from your eating.
right, yeah, it's important. It's important.
Yeah.
I feel like you just have to learn by doing and experiencing,
Hmm.
you all have to like make mistakes. Sometimes you'll have a good idea of meal prepping something and you didn't realize it would get soggy after a couple days. And
Yeah.
so, you
Yeah,
know,
that's why when I meal prep, I don't like to meal prep like too many too many items. I'll usually will like if I'll meal prep usually like the day before. So like at night before the next day I'll like meal prep my breakfast and I will usually meal prep breakfast because breakfast is usually the time where I'm like trying to run out the door at home. So I usually meal prep my breakfast, but what I do as a hack to help me with my lunch, I'll actually make a bigger portion of my dinner so I have lunch for the next day. So that's kind of my way of like meal prepping my lunch. And that way, if I always do that every single day, I have a different lunch because I sometimes get bored of the same thing over and over again. I tried doing like the rice, the broccoli, and like the chicken before, and it worked out for a little bit. I just got bored. I like versatility in my in my meals. Mhm.
yeah, it gets a little boring for sure.
Yeah. But
But
again, there are a lot of great recipes out there that I think if you like kind of change it up and do that, it's definitely great.
oh yeah, 100%. And like I guess as we get to the end, are there any other like habits or little hacks that people can kind of just start doing in terms of eating healthier, better nutrition? Like I love the hack that you just kind of gave that you sometimes or all the time, like when you cook dinner, you always make a little extra for, the
Mhm.
next day's lunch. Are there any other hacks or anything for people?
I mean, there's a lot of different hacks. But I think the one thing I always try to do now, is so I will try to get more fiber in because that's one of the biggest things too that so fiber helps with like blood sugar management with high cholesterol levels and also if you're trying to lose weight it helps you stay fuller for longer and it also helps if you're not going too much to the bathroom it's going to help you regulate those bowel movements so I feel like fiber is an element that a lot of people nowadays are not getting because of the fact that we just kind of live in a society where everything's a little bit more processed so we usually like to go grab the processed foods and instead of like getting our whole grains in. So I always try to get my whole grains in. So that's why in the mornings I try to like do like overnight oats, or if I am doing a Greek yogurt, I'll still try to like eat like a piece of toast in the morning that's a whole grain bread so I can get that fiber started. Because they recommend about 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day, depending on your body weight and your gender. So really trying to emphasizing on getting your fiber in. So eating whole grains with every meal. So a trick that sometimes if people aren't able to meet their goals is that they actually do sell some of those carbonated beverages that are high in fiber. So I don't know if you've heard of like Olipop before. It's a carbonated beverage. It's almost like a replacement to like regular soda. But it has like 9 grams of fiber. So if people are trying to get more fiber in their diet, they can try, looking at other options out there that are not, the bread and the rice and the pasta. You get also fiber from fruits and veggies. So I always emphasize get your fruits and veggies in, but if you want more fiber, that could be a way to swap maybe some of those sugary beverages that you're having, but also adding more fiber in.
I love that. That's a great idea. Yeah, there
Mhm.
are a lot of drinks out there that do have like fiber. There are even
Yeah.
like drinks that have protein in it.
Yeah, we're not in that like movement of like our beverages offering, the protein as you mentioned or that fiber. I remember I think like 5 years ago, these were not like a big thing or they weren't a lot of these in the market, but now there is like the Olipop and the Poppy, they're kind of like higher fiber soda replacement beverages. And then as you mentioned, there's like those protein shakes now and protein beverages. I think I saw sometime at the store. It would look like a Gatorade, but it was like clear protein. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
so interesting. I was like, I've never had this before.
It
So
has
it's
like,
interesting to see like all these newer things that are coming out to help meet our like protein goals and our fiber goals.
yeah, I think what you're talking about, I don't know the brand name, but it has like 20 grams of like protein, but it's like clear water or something. Or
Yeah, I think I think if I'm not wrong, I think Clean Simple Eats is the one that has that clear protein now. I
yeah.
could be wrong, but that's the only one that can come to mind that I've seen has like the clear protein.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All the supplements they have. I guess in terms of takeaways, mine, I feel like your story of that simple change in vitamin D and how it increased a lot of like, your energy levels going up and other benefits. My invitation would be to anybody listening is to start supplementing with vitamin D and start, I don't know, increasing your vitamin D with specific foods. Like we said, I don't know, eggs, mushrooms and some other ones, but start, taking vitamin D supplements. And if you have to be like a little kid like me, take the fruit snack, vitamin D, the gummies. Makes it a little bit easier for me. But Romina, do you have any takeaways or I guess invitations for anybody to like, I don't know, just be the best version of themselves, be the healthiest versions of themselves?
Yes. Um, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, but definitely just going to your doctors and your dietitians and really trying to figure out what's going on with your overall health, especially if you're noticing there's certain areas where you're lacking. Let's say you feel more tired, or let's say you want to lose weight, or you just don't feel comfortable with how your body's looking. And just also, trying to feel more energized. Definitely like going to your doctors and trying to get those blood works done to see if there's something that could be skewed in your blood work or abnormal, so that way you can go to the right professionals to get the help that you need to help you with improving your nutrition, improving your overall dietary habits. That way you're able to prevent chronic conditions and manage them if you do end up getting diagnosed with some of those. So that way you're able to, live your life to the fullest with, you know, being the better version of yourself, as Hunter said. I think that's the biggest takeaway here is just go see your professionals, your doctors, dietitians, and if you have those questions, ask those questions. That's why there's people out there that study, these areas of nutrition and also medicine to help provide the best care that we can for those individuals.
Yeah, I love that so much. I thought I was being perfect almost. I thought I was being so healthy. Got the blood work results, and I don't know, it was like a little slap in the face, but sometimes we need a slap in the face, right? For me, it was like my cholesterol was really high and I thought I was being so healthy. So I love that as an invitation to everybody, just meet with your doctor, like Romina said, see a dietitian, see your blood work, and go from there and just really start taking your health just more serious. So,
Yeah.
Romina, thank you so much for hopping on and sharing your expertise with us. And like I said, happy Saturday, everybody. And I hope everyone has a safe weekend. It can just be the best versions and healthiest versions of yourselves.